How's the things going on?
Things are well. So we are live now. I'll do a quick introduction. Yeah.
Sure.
So hi everyone. Welcome to this session today, and we have with us a very eminent speaker, Mr. Lalit Rawat. Lalit is a Microsoft Azure MVP, MCT, and author of Azure AZ 104 Exam Prep and Interview Q&A book. He likes to share his knowledge through his blog Azure for You and manage and share his technical skills in various Azure communities, BitPro, and Azure user meetup groups. He has written several articles on Microsoft Azure. Moreover, to his credit, he has delivered 500 plus trainings to professionals worldwide in Microsoft Azure technologies. He has changed many lives from his articles and his hands on training programs and workshops. He is a speaker and has delivered the session on big platforms including MS Global Bootcamp, Expert Life India, and other events. And it's a pleasure to have you with us today, Lalit. And we really look forward to a very insightful session from you and learning from. Over to you.
Thanks, Anamka. Hi all. Thank you so much for Azure developer community, and then the Rescale, Rohit, and you, and all of you for providing me that opportunity to talk to all of you and share some insightful things. And that's the reason I choose this particular topic, Cloudify Your Career, because for now there is a lot of college students this is coming up, and they're just reaching out to me on LinkedIn, and even there is this couple of professionals who are into the traditional IT, into the data centers and the other stuffs. They are also starting, they wanted to start career onto the cloud, though even the technologies are same, but the terminologies, and there are much more things which is there are few of the developers, IT administrator, and so on. They just don't know how to start, where to begin with, and they're spending money like anything to buying the course, to find out some trainers where. And that's the reason I thought of that could be very insightful to help all of you, because that is just a mixed audience, so that will actually help the people to don't spend much money on to find out some trainers and all. You can learn yourself, like myself, like how I have learned from the MS articles and practicals and lot of things over there. No one teach me the Azure. I have learned it myself over the years. So similarly, if you can approach and you have some ideas, then probably you just go for it. So let me just share my screen, and I have just prepared the wonderful slides for you all, and then let me know if you guys are able to view my screen.
Not yet.
Okay, yeah, just give me one sec. I think there's
Yeah.
some issues. Yeah, sorry, it's the last cup of my coffee.
Perfect. No worries.
Yeah. So now now you guys are able to view my screen.
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah. So is the things right?
I'll be at the backstage, and if you
Sure.
have anything to say, I'll be available in the private chat.
Sure.
When you call out
So
my name, I'll be there.
no issues. So here is why I have put this as an cloudify your career. And in between, if you have any questions, any comments, would like to take you on that part. So as Anamka has introduced myself, I'm Lalit Rawat and have written several books and writing on blogs on Azure for you. If you guys wanted to connect with me, you can follow me on Twitter and as well as on LinkedIn. So the Twitter handle would be lalit01.rawat, and here is my LinkedIn URL with alrawat1. So you guys always reached out to me if you have any questions, any queries, or if you wanted to begin with your career, or if you have any kind of issues in terms of technically or personally or professionally. I will be helping throughout to lot of the people. So it's a good connect with you all. So today's agenda would be why you wanted to cloudify your career. where you wanted to start, right? A lot of people, they don't know how to start with, how you are going to planning to clarify your career, how you're going to begin with, then what are the role based Azure services which you wanted to learn, how developer or the administrator or the network guys or other stuffs can work on those parts, what are the, the necessary services they wanted to learn. So I'll be covering that, and then the role-based access certifications path. What are the certifications for Azure is for developer, or it could be for your architect, to your administrator, and how you can mix and match if you have a both knowledge. Let's just say for admin and the architect, how you can learn the things to move forward in your career, and then you can map your skills, how you're going to map your skills and other stuffs, the learning resources where you wanted to learn those resources and get certified and excel your career with Microsoft Azure. And afterwards we have Q&A session as well. So if you guys have any of the questions related to that, you can always have a chat. You can put your queries or the questions there. So why you wanted to cloudify your career, right? There is four things which comes into my mind, and while preparing this PPT, there are a lot of things which there in my mind, like what could be the four most things which I can put. The first of all, the things is all the roads goes to the cloud market, right? So you talk about anybody, right? Will say, I wanted to learn cloud. No one will say, I wanted to learn Windows Server 2012, 2019, 20. There is a way that if you can look down for 5 years or down the line of 10 years in 2010 and 11, there are, or let's just say 2014, 6 years down or 8 years down, a lot of people, they wanted to move to the server support, they wanted to do developing things, and no one will talk about the cloud. Though even cloud is there in the market, but not at that vast. So everyone's come up with the cloud similarly to the Microsoft Azure, and then I have a competitor of AWS, Google, and then Oracle, and everyone just coming up with their own services. Oracle Cloud is one of them, and then there are separate other players also. So why you have to choose the Microsoft Azure? We will be discussing in this particular area, because Microsoft Azure is an enterprise cloud, and basically the terminology and the technology you come from, right? Let's just say if you are a developer, you might be using .NET, Python, whatsoever services. Most of the times you will be using Windows systems, and how friendly it is. Similarly, Microsoft Azure is very friendly while you are learning the stuffs. There are good hands-on documents. I won't say you won't find into their cloud provider, but it is my personal opinion that is far better, or the services are more friendly rather than to the other clouds. Yes, obviously they are also a competitor, so I won't say they don't have an opportunity. Yes, they are also good into the market, but the Microsoft Azure is for enterprise, and it has lot of opportunities. So basically it has the huge demands in the market, and you don't believe me, uh, in a day I myself is getting around 4 to 5 calls on every day. So you're looking out for a change, and how many companies I can go. So that is a separate topic, but when you start your career with Microsoft Azure, there are lot of opportunity in terms of your administration career, in terms of your developer career, in terms of your DevOps engineer, architect, IoT, and lot of other stuffs. There are huge market for Microsoft Azure, and it's in huge demand is there. And there is lot of job opportunities if you wanted to apply, because if you see the Microsoft client waste, it is almost every enterprise is using Windows systems, Windows servers, Active Directory, and Office 365, and so on, other services as well. If you see their market is almost 90 to 95%. This is my personal opinion that they will be having, and most of the companies are. using that, right? So they are already utilizing the Microsoft licenses. Now they are converting to the cloud services because the things is they don't want it to manage the data centers. They don't want it to manage their own infrastructure because that will be tough. Why they don't want it to manage? Because again they have to hire for a lot of people. For the networking there is one guy, for other data centers there's one guys. They have to put the AC band and lot of other stuff. If you just see the data centers and the stuff, you'll just come to know, right? There are lot more things, and the cables, and there is, vast things into the data center. So when you're getting a lesser amount of the services which you're getting on equal amount or less than that into the cloud, and you don't have to take the tension of tomorrow. Let's just say today is 2019 server, tomorrow it will come in 2020 or 2021. You don't have to upgrade your services, right? It will also provide you an opportunity. If you're utilizing the PaaS, the services would be automatically upgraded when you have a Microsoft end or any other cloud provider, right? So a lot of things are there, a lot of opportunities, job opportunities are there, and apart from that, there are a higher salary. You don't believe me? There are lot of my followers who has been 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years of experience. They're just earning around a single digit number of salary. Now they are into the double digit within 3 to 4 years. And there are a lot of people who has 7 8 years, 9 years, or 10 years of experience, who is like just like me, working in on-premises infrastructure, starting from normal hardware, open the CPU, clean the RAM, attach the hard disk, and all of those stuffs we'll be doing at the time when I started my job, right? These guys also started learning cloud, they got certified, and now they are also into the double digit when they are into single digit. Or when you just get a job change, at least you'll get a 30% hike versus market standard. But if you try your best, your skills are good, you can get up to 40% also. Few of the people they got 45% hike as well. So it's all depends how you are controlling your services, how you are learning. There is a market a lot, the lots of job opportunities. And I was just looking out for one technet article. There is a lot of demand in cloud based out of India, and a lot of companies coming and investing in India, and they just wanted to have the cloud. So lot of company, they're just hiring the people based on their skills. If you do the certifications, let's just say have a experience or not, but a lot of people, they are hiring a trainee. As I'm working with one of the companies, they also hire the trainee. So a lot of companies are hiring the trainee. If you have a good skills, a good hands holds on your services, on the technologies, yes, you will be the next one to work with the cloud technologies, and you will be earning a lots of stuff, right? So these are the four things which I feel it's most important for you to start working with cloud. Because if you start learning a native technology or the native you know tools and terms, right, at the time you have to go with the digitalizations. And then cloud is also the one more important pillar for your digitalizations. Because even if you say PM Modi, or most of the companies are moving forwards with the digitalizations, right, where everyone is getting digitalized. So that is also, they want the services very fast. And for that, if you want an infrastructure, the servers cannot be built within a day, right? The Dell or HP or Lenovo, they cannot build all of those servers because it's required uh, a lot of things. The chip is just out in the market, and there are a lot of other stuffs, RAM, disk, motherboard. A lot of things are required, right? In the motherboard you have numbers of chips as well, right? Then only they'll work. So that's the reason there is a huge market, because they have already built hundreds of data centers. Those Microsoft Azure does not have issue with that to provide you the services, or you can just go and jump in or probably you just wanted to create your own services, just created, you're the startup company, you just go and create your resources, and you can pay whatever the services you wanted to utilize, right? So there's lot of aspects in terms of you are going and utilizing to Microsoft Cloud. It is more secure things, and they will be growing like anything. You don't believe me, when I started my career in 2014 as in cloud, there's a slow market. 2 years, 2016, and from 2016, once they come with the services and upgrading their services, they have around 5% market in 2016, or probably less, or 5 to between 5 to 10%. Now they are owning approx 25 to 30%, 30 to 35% of the market, and they're growing very fast, and that is very huge. So everyone, whatever the customers, partner, Microsoft network is very high, right? So if you see anywhere in day and day job, you are also utilizing your Microsoft technologies and other stuff. So now the second question is where to start. You have a lot of questions, exclamatory sir, where to start, how to start. Now this is your world of Azure. You have lot of services, and now you're getting confused, right? So you're saying, sir, what services should I choose, where to begin with? It's looking, you're overwhelming, right? And you are not able to understand where to begin, what services to learn, how it will be, right? You have SQL, you have container, you have Active Directory, you have load balancer, services, DNS, lot more things. Then you're just getting confused, sir. I'm a developer. I just need to do a code, but where are we going to deploy the services into the app services, right? So for that, I have I have a plan, and let's just move to the next slide, and hope the slides will give you some uh, confusing parts, but it is more interesting. So how you're going to map your skills? The next part is to map your skills. So, how you're going to map your skills? Though you are a developer, you are an admin, you are an architect, data scientist, or probably the network engineers and then security engineers, or any other guys, how you're going to map your skills. And if you do not map your skills, you are not going to learn anything. And in the end of the day, you'll just say, "Sir, I didn't know where to start." So let's start. And the first step, there is a people, they'll come as an infrastructure background. Either they are the IT administrator, or they are the architect, network engineers, security engineers, operations, NOC, or you can just say in infrastructure the whole bunch of data centers people, they'll come up, right, who just build out the systems and a lot of other stuffs, right? So you have to understand your core areas. What is your core areas? Which profile does it suits? Either you are the IT admin, or you are the architect, network, security engineers, and so on, right? Who you, and once you map this particular skills, in the next slides, I'll be showing you the path. What what are the services are necessary to learn, right? So let's just move to the next one. The second pillar is developer. In this particular things, there are developer, right, who has a number of years of experience. They just wanted to learn. They know how to code. They have, there could be Java developer, there could be your .NET, Python, or Ruby, or a lot of new technologies, right? They develop the code, but how they wanted to utilize Microsoft Azure, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to integrate your services somewhere, right? You have to deploy your code to the app services, or you might have to learn a CI/CD pipeline, or you might have to do lot more stuffs. The mobile app you wanted to develop, right? How you're going to do it, right? So who are the developer? Just you can understand the second part that will comes as in DevOps as well as the developer or the coder. There is these three designations people who will be there, right? So what are the necessary steps they have to do? Well, coming up into the next slide. The third one is your database, because either you are IT admin, database administrator, or other stuff. Let's just say the people who is the developer but he has a knowledge of the databases. You might be using Microsoft SQL database, right? Or MongoDB or Cosmos DB or any third party Oracle and so on. So what's the career, what is the career you have into Azure, right? So it's the third type of people are in the market industry. And the fourth one is who is in the data science. Let's just say they are working in artificial intelligence, machine learning, data scientists. There are a lot of financial institute. I'll just take an example, right? There are a lot of financial institutes, right? And they have lots of data. Or let's just say you can take an example of Facebook, Amazon, or Bajaj Finance, or on any other companies who had lots of data. How they're going to churn, right? If they wanted to do it their job in on premises, they would require a lot of s- lot of resources. That could be system, or the server would need a probably higher capacity of hardware or CPU or a lot of other stuff, right? And that might take a time, a day or two to churn the data. But once it is moved to the cloud, there are several services, right? Into the Microsoft Azure, that you can utilize, and you can churn your data probably within a hour or 2 hours based on your data size, or within 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So, and you can segregate a lot of things. So Microsoft Azure is reliable, it is secure, it's providing you all in one solutions in one platform, where it helps all the people in terms of infrastructure, in terms of developer, in terms of database, AI, ML, data scientist. And there is a one more certifications for SAP as well. Oracle services is also included. So lot of things are there, but these are the four peoples are there in the market who will be utilizing your services and other stuffs, right? So let's just move how you're going to cloudifying your career, right? So into the next slide. So I'm sorry. So into the next slides, I will be helping you how you're going to cloudifying your career. So the first is set a goal to start learning. And the last slides, you will be able to understand what is your career path, right? Which background you are in, which types of the services you wanted to learn. Either you are a administrator, architect, or other stuff, right? Then set a goal to start learning, right? So you have to pre-plan your goal, that uh, probably in within 15 days or within 1 month, I have to start from basics, right? I have to work on my fundamentals. The second one is, building the cloud conceptual knowledge or your fundamental part, because that is where lots of IT technicians, a lot of people who just introduced a cloud are making mistakes. They think it is similarly to your on premises environment, but it's not. They feel every services they are utilizing in Microsoft Azure or any other cloud provider. I just talk about Microsoft Azure. They are same as it is on premises. They might be right, but it's not the same, because in on premises, what you are going to do is you're just going and installing the software and configuring your at its own. But in Azure, you have a PaaS services that have been configured in it's providing as an platform as a services or infrastructure as a services, or let's just say software as a services. But their concepts are same, different, right? You have a VMware environment and on-premises utilizing a VM. Yes, you will be going and deploying the VMs in Microsoft Azure. That could be a similar. But in on-premises, you're not going to configure your network, right? When in Azure, you are going and configuring your VNets, subnets, and a lot of other stuffs, right? All of those things you will be doing it, right? So you should have those knowledge. You will be going and configuring your network security groups, what port it will listen. If you don't know that, I'd just you will be doing is some kind of mess up, because you can jump in without a conceptual knowledge, you can learn without a conceptual knowledge. But if your concepts are not clear, probably whenever you're doing your job, there will be lots of issues might come up. I'm not saying few of the people, they are very good in learning, they can while studying, they can understand all of those stuffs, the conceptual knowledge will be built up, right? But I would say start from the basics. But if you are already having some experience, 5 years, 10 years, 12 years, probably you can start with your administrator course and start with building your concept and then do the labs and other stuffs. The third one is your start learning with Microsoft Learn. And I'll show you the URLs and then the career path which we have. And that is the one stop for your learning. Microsoft Azure Technologies is moving far ahead. Every day they are upgrading their services. They will be modifying a lot of stuffs. There are exam change. Recently, there is an exam change for AG 305, which is for architect. Earlier, there is 303 and 305, which has been removed. Now there is two exam. One is 104 and 1305, which I will talk about into the later slide. Right. So they have changed within 3 months and 4 months time. Right. They come up with a private preview and then it's went on. So anything which is getting updating or it is upgrading within Microsoft Azure, you'll get all of those learning path into the Microsoft Azure, and you can start learning from here. Now, how you can do your hands-on labs. If you are new into Microsoft Azure, you can subscribe subscriptions as in free, and that is very simple, right? If you just go to portal.microsoftazure.com, or just say how to subscribe the subscription. There's a lot of blocks. It is very simple. It will ask your PAN card. I'll have to put your credit cards. So initial that will be they'll give you around $220 for a month, and then there are around 25 services which is free for your 12 months. Apart from that, if you, let's just say if you are the student, you don't have the credit card or you don't have nothing, right? The Microsoft Learn will give you the jump box, or let's just say the sandbox, where you just go create the services, log in with your ID, right? And once your practical is done during that course, it will be automatically deleted. So you don't have to worry about those things, because I have also learned a lot of things from Microsoft Learn and done a lot of labs as and when I don't have the subscription. So I would say but if you wanted to, let's just say you wanted to explore a lot of other services which you wanted to build upon it, you can probably buy in a subscriptions as in pay as you go, and you can delete all of your resources as and when it is required. The third one is certified preparations and get certified. So there is four steps in your career planning should also be included. First, you set a goal, where to start, what to start of your learning career, right? Then build a conceptual knowledge. Start with Microsoft Learn. It is very very easy. You can say it's in layman language. It's written very layman language where it helps you to understand things pretty better, rather than you going and finding some videos here and there, it might get you confused. Hands on with Microsoft Azure subscriptions, then you can go for Azure certification prep and get your certifications, right? So the 5 steps for your cloud career planning. Then what is role based certifications path? So I have put it for all the candidates here, and there would be next slides also for the remaining one. If you wanted to start with your developer career or administrator, security, architect, AI, IoT developers, and all, the first part is to for developer, administrator, security, architect, network engineer, or SEP, right? You can do basic things using AG900. This is optional, and it's not necessary you wanted to certify it. You can directly jump in to an AG 204, 104, 500, or 305. So any of those exams are not interconnected, right? It's not mandatory that you have to go with AG 900 first and then you can go to the certain exam. It's not necessary at all. But to build a basic knowledge, the conceptual knowledge, which will help you to build your next certifications level of preparations, I would recommend, and it is my personal opinion, that you can go and start with fundamentals, right? And where you are going to build your conceptual knowledge. And if you are a developer, there is AG204 for Microsoft Azure DevOps solutions, because the DevOps engineers are going to uh, build the core Terraform scripts to deploy the resources, services, and all of those. Then you'll have AG400, whereas in Microsoft Azure DevOps solutions, let's just say you are a developer, you're just building some code, you're deploying into the functions, app services, and so on. Whereas in administrator, as an AG104, and administrator can also become an AG1, you can do a AG400 certification course, become a DevOps engineer or Azure developer. So it is basically, it's not related. Anyone can go anywhere, but it is always the interest area, but that has been segregated, that what the course or what the learning you have to choose. The security is for AG 900, and then you can go for 500 technologies. There would be lot of aspects how you are utilizing your security centers, your identity securities, your policies, and so on, right? The firewall, load balancer, and there is this lot of other aspects which will be helping you. Then you'll having architects, right? Which will be having your 104 and then 305 AG900. It is your wish you wanted to do it, but if you are already an Azure administrator or you have a knowledge of Microsoft Azure, I won't say expert level, but if you have an intermediate level also, you can always go and prepare for AG 305, right? And become a solution architect. For AI and IoT developers, there is a separate curriculum which is for AI 900. So it's also optional to build off knowledge of your AI, then artificial intelligence of AI 100 to become an Azure AI engineer. So this is the separately written because artificial intelligences are not related to the infrastructure. But whereas if you can see the developers, administrators, securities, or architects, they somehow they are related to the infrastructure part, because ultimately if you are a developer you will deploying your code or services to the some of the VMs or the app services somewhere, right? So that obviously it will come into the infrastructure. But whereas in artificial intelligence, IoT, and other stuffs, there's a separate stuffs, right, which you have to learn in terms of codes. Now if you are the network engineer, or if you are a data engineer, or if you are a SEP, how you'll do? For Azure Network Engineers, Microsoft has announced that course a year back. This is AG 700, Microsoft Azure Network Engineer, and that is actually missing because there are a lot of network engineers who looked out. Either they will be moving to the Microsoft Azure administrator, or they will be looking out for some of the Azure networking engineer related stuffs and other stuff. So this is a separate things which is which Microsoft is coming up with the AG 700. So network engineers can relate their knowledge to this particular steps, and they can certainly go with Azure administrator part as well, because administrator uh, path will be including a lot of other stuffs, which probably in the next slides will come up. If you are data scientist, data engineer, and other stuffs, you can use the DP 900 for your fundamental, then DP 200 to become an Azure data engineers. Whereas in for SAP, there is a AG 120 Microsoft Azure. I sorry, miss. So Azure for SAP workload, which you wanted to put in there, right? Then what are the role based services? Based on your role, there would be certain services which will be including in your exam, but exam things might be changed here and there, but let's just look out on that part, right? So now, if you are the architect, network engineer, or security engineer, or belongs to, you wanted to do an AG 104, right, kind of stuffs, there would be lot of services which you have to worked on. The first part is your compute, right, where you'll have Azure on VMware solutions, virtual machines, VM skill set, Kubernetes, app services, container instances, and other stuffs. You don't have the knowledge to deploy a code into the container or Kubernetes and all of those, but at least you have some conceptual knowledge how you're going to build those Kubernetes services, container instances, registries, right? Then a network engineer and an administrator. For those, you have Azure Firewall, Express Route, load balancers, network watcher, private link, traffic managers, application gateway, DNS, firewall, front door. There is apart from that, there is uh, one or two more services, front door and other stuffs would be there, right, which you have to understand, have to have some knowledge, let's just say for UDR routes and all of those stuffs, the VNet, subnet, and a lot of other things which is there, right? Just comes into the networking, right? So as an administrator, if you are preparing your exam, you should be knowing compute, network, storage, identity, and then migrations. I have put specifically for migrations because this is the migrations era, and lot of people are migrating their on-premises resources to Azure, right? By why? Because they just don't wanted to manage the data centers, the legacy application coming up. They have the new businesses coming up, right? They wanted to utilize your artificial intelligence, machine learning, right? The healthcare customers, they wanted to have lots of data. They wanted to churn. They wanted to utilize the new services which they don't have. Basically, to make things very faster. If you just think of down the line of 5 to 10 years, if I give you some project saying that yes, just go ahead and build some mobile app, we'll say you'll just give you the list of the probably not hundreds, but at least 10 to 20 of services that you might need it into it. You need in some infrastructure and all of those stuffs. But if you just think of, if I'll give you that particular project to you, you just go build up. I'll give you the subscription access. You're going to build up. Probably it'll take a week or two. You're going done. Right. So that is that much of fast. Earlier it might take a month or two to build up those stuffs, but now I have lot of opportunities, right? Lot of tools and all. And the same example for this COVID-19 app, right? That has been built within a month or rather than few days. and that is also in one of the cloud, and you have integrated all of those services, certificate, a lot of other things, right? But this is just built up within a month or two, right? And it's been used widely. So now the technologies and the digitalizations, the services, and the time durations to build those services, customer doesn't want it to wait. They just wanted to move forward with the new things, come up with new ideas, come up with new things, and lot of startups, they don't wanted to take attention to manage their own data centers. Rather than they can utilize Microsoft Azure and work on those. The second part is for developer and database path, because why I put into the same one, those developers somewhere it just connected to the database. They don't know the administrative knowledge, but they wanted to integrate their services or app services to the database and other stuff. So I just put it into the one part. If you are a development or a developer guys, how the application is configured, the Azure DevOps tool will use for your CI/CD, Azure Spring Cloud, Dev Test Lab. It is used for your lab purpose, and then lab services, a Singular, Visual Studio App Centers. You have load testing. There's a new services you wanted to do. If you're building some kind of Amazon kind of sites, or Netflix, or uh, the larger size where you wanted to test the workload, how you're going to test. Yes, obviously you're going to load testing. There's a new terms which is coming up. The new services recently came up with Microsoft, not recently, it's 3 months or I think 6 months, right? They have announced. Then you have the databases. There are multiple databases that you might want, that database guys are working on. Either it could be your Cosmos DB, SQL database. There could be Redis cache is used to cache your database related transactions. Database for MySQL, database Postgres, Cassandra, right? Oracle databases, there is a separate VMs you have to build up and other stuff you have to do. Then related to media, Azure CDN, communications, media services you wanted to utilize, or like how you're utilizing your Netflix or Amazon, you're streaming your video. They will be integrating Azure CDN in between and utilizing it. Then you'll have a compute, right? Because you will be deploying your code either to the VMs or the app services environment or to the function app, and integrating with your APIs, event grid, logic app, or notifications app, and many more. So, but these are the limited one which I am telling you, right? There might be an exam might change tomorrow, right? Or there would be few services might be added or removed. So I would always suggest to go with the Microsoft Learn and follow those stuffs, or probably the Microsoft Azure for certifications. So you can always see what are the skills are needed. But these are the base minimum skills if you are looking for your developer or database path, which you should know, you should understand the things. Then you'll have an AI and ML, IoT or analytics path, where you have an AI services, bot services, Microsoft, genomics, cognitive services, and then IoT, you will have an IoT hub, remote rendering. Uh, on these are the things I haven't worked it, but I have some knowledge of it. So IoT Central, IoT Edge, and lot of other services which can utilize for your IoT if you're looking out for. And for analytics, you have an analysis services, data lakes. Data lakes been always used by a data scientist, Databricks been used by data scientist or developer. So stream analytics, where you wanted to analyze your streaming data and other stuffs, you can utilize. SD Insight is your Hadoop kind of cluster, big data, and then data log, Power BI for your reporting. So there is a lot of tools are there, right? These are the services which you have, so you can start learning and make your career in your AI, ML, IoT, or analytics path. Okay, so these are the things. Hope you have any questions, anything. Just if you have anything, probably I just looked out for it. No, okay. So now, what could be your official documentations you have? You can always look down to Microsoft Learn, and there are few of the popular learnings path modules, right? All of those things are there. Then if you can see, first part is right. It's if you can see Azure fundamental, describe me the Azure concepts. I have also completed 45% and then I leave it. So a couple of courses which I also go and do, even I know a lot of steps. I work day in and out on Microsoft Azure, but there are a lot of things are coming up where I also feel to learn those things, build up my conceptual knowledge, and then learning is never ending. So though even you will be in probably today in somewhere architect or engineer or whatsoever, or you wanted to begin with, never ever stop your learning. Always keep learning and keep growing, right? Then you have for your Power BI services, or if you wanted to for your governance, compliance policies, and other stuffs. Yes, obviously we can go on all of those, documents, right? The docs which we have for your Microsoft Learn, but that is your the best solutions which you have, right? Second one is, if you are a developer, you can go browse your code samples, so you can understand whether it is you are a .NET or C Sharp or looking for some SDK and group calling. So if you can see here, right, the things you can just segregate it based on your things. Either you wanted to look out the code into a GitHub or Microsoft Graph, .NET, Azure, Dynamics 365, C Sharp, ASP.NET, the programming languages are down, right? Or other stuff, you can always go there, and then this Azure samples codes all always there into the GitHub as well. So you can utilize this one, understand the code, how they have written. So in the corporate world, there is one thing is famous, and learn from others, right? So if you are learning from your own, that that you know everything. But if you go and try that out, so you'll get other guys' experience as well. And if I talk about my experience when I started my career, I don't have all of those stuffs materials, nothing. But nowadays you have lot of things. But just you wanted to know what are the right stuff, the right material you wanted to look out, and where, right? So you always looked for the authentic one, and these are the authentic one for Microsoft Azure, that you are going and looking out and building your career or cloudifying your career with Microsoft Azure. The next, my favorite one is Azure documentations. The day when I started learning Microsoft Azure, I always looked up for the Microsoft Azure document, right? So if you wanted to look out, it is nothing but docs.microsoftazure.com. You just go there, right? And you can look out your services you wanted to expertise in specific services, app services, Cosmos database function, or there are several services, the catalog which you have, the compute, containers, database, all of those things are there. If you wanted to look out on, and then if you have any doubts, there are a lot of peoples to help. You can always reach out to me, though even I don't know much things on the developer part. But if you wanted to look out on that part, I will certainly help you where you have to go and how you can solve your problem. in terms of anything. If you want any help, then for architect, there is in Microsoft Azure Architect Center, which has the complete guide of architect, that the principles, what could be your architect principles, how you're going to optimize your workload, how you're going to choosing the right technologies to build. Either you wanted to build a container, or you wanted to have in load balancings, data stores, or any stuff. So the developers, they'll go looked out, architect, they'll go and looked out, right? So it could be your developer architect, or it could be Azure architect or the solution architect. They always looked out for Microsoft documents, because there are a lot of services they wanted to build up and they don't want it to miss out. And this is the best place for architects to understand and learn the concepts. And it's very easy. It's written into the very, very easy language, so you can understand better. Then other learning resources which you have, you can subscribe to Udemy, Pluralsight, or a Cloud Guru, right? There's a learning partners for Microsoft. There's a URL, but my best choice would be Microsoft Learn. And then once you build up your knowledge, probably you can go subscribe to Udemy or Pluralsight or a Cloud Guru, because they have the videos, right? A lot of videos are there, and they will be teaching you the concepts, the services, and lot of other stuffs. So once you have a conceptual knowledge, you just go start building your things. Or probably if you wanted to buy a few of the courses from here, that's okay. That is my personal opinion. And then but my best suggestions to look out Microsoft Learn, which is earlier there is a Mappa and other stuff. They just collaborate everything and build up the learning platform, which is Microsoft Learn. And once you're done with it, get your certifications, and you will be smiling like this. And then if you have any questions and answers, would be say. And thank you so much for the sessions. And now I would like to take some questions. Just give me one sec.
Good evening, sir. So basically, from audience side, we don't have any questions so far, but I do have one
Yeah,
question. Like, how
yeah.
much time do you think we should give while preparing for some basic exams, like fundamentals exams, like AZ 900, or AI 900, or EP 900?
So if you wanted to prepare those exam, right, what you can do is at least you can give up 2 weeks of time, minimum 2 to 3 weeks of time based on your learning, right? And you can go for the exam. So this course are limited because that has the conceptual knowledge, right? It does not have include the labs and other stuffs. So I would say 2 weeks is a sufficient time. But if you feel to understand much better, probably you can extend it to 1 more week.
So adding to it, like if we should focus on the theory part basically while preparing for fundamental exam, or should we go with hands-on thing? So what you will prefer for these fundamental exams?
I would say you can do hands-on simultaneously, but in the
Okay.
fundamental, you don't have much to do with the labs, because
Yes.
that's the reason they are fundamental, right? So
Yes.
similarly to your university, they'll say provide this definitions, so you will be defining those, but it is a higher level of it, right? If you're just talking about, say, what is Azure subscriptions, it's a billing container where you put your resources, right, your services, and all of those stuffs. So when you just go into the subscription and see it, how the services or how these billings are working, right, your
Yes.
conceptual knowledge will be clear. So it is both way. You can learn, and you can do the lab as well, which will be actual give you a clear picture, because practical knowledge is always better than the normal one. So
Yes, exactly. So one more question I have, like I am right now AZ900 certified. So basically, the next step I would be taking, if it should be about 104, or I should clear some more fundamentals exam. So what you will prefer, like what is
Yeah, you
best
can
for
go.
me?
Yeah, I can say you're from the administrator background.
Like I am preparing for that. So basically,
Okay, so yeah, so now once you have done with your fundamental, you can go with AG104. This is for the administrator. You don't have to go with other fundamentals because there are AI 900 and DP 900, which is for artificial intelligence and DP. But this AG 900 is common across your right all of those infrastructure. So it is always good. Now I have a conceptual knowledge. You can go and prepare for the next level, either your AG104 or the developer exam, which one it's fits for your profile.
and sir, one last question from my side. Like,
Yeah.
should we practice our skills, like cloud skills, basically on some private cloud also, or this is fine? Like Azure is completely enough. Like basically, like Azure, AWS, and these public clouds are enough for us, or shall we prefer some hands-on with private clouds also?
I would say you can start your career with public cloud because there are a lot more demands and lot of things and stuff there, right? But as you say, right, the private cloud, you can say the VMware and Hyper-V and all, right? So because this is the migrations era, and if you wanted to migrate your resources, you should know how the VMware works, right? Or how the Hyper-V works, how you wanted to utilize those resources and other stuff. So I would say it is good to start with it, but don't stuck to the private cloud because the demand is high, and then the people are looked in for your public cloud platform where you can leverage your skills. As and when you grow, what you can do, you can start learning your native technologies, if you haven't learned for your data centers, the networking, storage, how they have been configured, right? And all of those stuffs, because while migrating it will help you to understand, because you just taken some OVF file you wanted to deploy somewhere for your migrations, or you wanted to deploy a software into the Windows VMs, or you wanted to migrate your Azure Active Directory on premises to Azure, right? But if you don't know how it is working in on premises, right, how you're going to implement the things further. So now you can start with Azure. So you have some conceptual knowledge, you have some knowledge, and then simultaneously you can start your private cloud knowledge or other stuff, the native technologies which you have, because ultimately whatever you have in on premises, it is always going to be there, but into the separate part.
Yes, that is very insightful. You just cleared all my doubts, queries. So that's it from our side. And let me see if there we have some any questions. Okay, so right now we don't have any questions from the audience part. So
Sure.
thank you, sir. Thank you for being a valuable speaker. And I'll be looking forward to have some one-to-one talk with you in some guideline stuff. So thank you, sir.
Sure.
Thank you for coming for the session. And I hope everyone enjoy. Thank you, audience. I hope you enjoyed the sessions from Lalit sir, and he'll be coming for multiple events, and see you all then. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Akshay.